I don't know that I look in the mirror and say I'm a real estate professional, but I think it just, like I said, over time, more meetings, more calls, just more experience gives you less of the imposter syndrome, because so it's just little wins over time, like we've been talking about, is just slowly building that confidence. And then each time you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. Once you get past that fear, things are so much easier.
Hey everybody, my name is Conor Schafstall and this is Mindset in Motion. My guest speaker today is Emily Bryan. Emily, say hi.
Hey, how's it going, Connor, and all you listeners out there? It's good to be on here.
Yeah, glad to have you. So, to give our listeners a little bit of background, we met a little over a year ago at a real estate, like, I don't know what you'd call it,
It's a real
education
estate
program
training
sign up,
class. Sure. Yeah.
training class. Yeah. So, where has your journey been since you went to that 3-day event training course up till now? And maybe let's talk about a little bit about what your life was before that and what led you there.
Sure. So, I guess a little bit before that is I was a stay-at-home mom for 2 years, prior to going to this training. What led up to it is my husband, he's a day trader, and he found an ad online and he said, hey, there's this class we could go to. So I was like, okay, well, let's go to this class. I've always kind of been interested in real estate, but never really stepped my foot in the water for real estate. So I was kind of skeptical at first, to be honest, but I was like, okay, well, let's just go try this out. So we went to our first class, and then they had another class. And so, like, our 3-day classes where we met Connor. Um, I honestly had a lot of fear and intimidation because I thought, oh, can I actually do this? I'm just a stay-at-home mom. Now, I did run a licensed daycare for 10 years prior to that. And I'm also a college athlete. So, like, if I really put my mind to anything, I know that I can do it. I just had a little fear and insecurities. Specifically, when it came to underwriting, I actually sat there in tears because I couldn't figure out how to do the project they put in front of us. I actually sat there and was like, I know I can do this. I'm a good student, but in my head, but I was like, something just wasn't connecting. And I literally left that and had to take a break, and like I was in tears, but now I actually underwrite for the past year. That's what I'm focusing on, and I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than being in tears. It's been pretty fun actually. So just once I got it, it connected. But really, that's kind of the start of real estate investing. But I guess that's a little background on how we met and where I come from. Literally in tears to now, it's exactly what my career choice is, the underwriting side of things. So,
Well, that's exciting. Well, so going into something like that, like obviously it's almost overwhelming the amount of knowledge that you're getting at an event like that. And it is definitely frightful and kind of nerve-wracking. Like what pushed you to keep going on even after leaving that 3-day event to say, "Hey, I can do this and I'm going to overcome it." Like what did you have to go through to try to keep going?
I think for my husband and I, we both had to make the decision that this is something we're going to do, and we had to be partners in that. And so when we made that decision, there's no going back. We decided, okay, this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to do everything I can to figure it out. I've always been a kind of person that if I set my mind to it, there's nothing that I can't achieve if I actually set my mind to it. And so I had to decide, okay, this is the path I'm going with this. So now I got to figure out how to do the things, and I think the biggest thing was consistency. Is one thing leads to another, but you got to get to that first step. And if you can do that first step and show up every single day, or let's just say every single week, and you're going to do it every single time, consistency is key. So you're going to get to a point where, oh, that's not so scary anymore. I finally get that. And then you can move on to the next thing. Just consistently moving forward rather than sitting in fear and inactivity is super important. If you can just find a way, find something to move forward in, if you can keep moving forward, even if it's an inch, You finally mastered that thing, and now you can move on to the next thing, the next goal. So I think well, now that we say goal setting, like just I had to literally put down on a piece of paper, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on today. Whether that was calling someone that I was feeling very intimidated to do so because I felt like I didn't have the credibility, whether that was, okay, I'm going to actually, I'm going to get on my computer and I didn't even know Excel before last year, to be honest. I mean, it
Yeah,
took
I
me
don't. I still don't know Excel. Yeah.
so, I mean, last year I hadn't sat down on a computer for over 15 years prior to last year. So like even using Excel was a whole learning curve that I had to get behind. And so if today was my goal was, okay, I'm going to learn something new in Excel. That was my goal. Like if you can make small steps to move your business forward, that's going to be so huge if you can just do it. Consistency over time is going to lead to results. I have a background in health and fitness coaching, and I've told my clients all the time consistency is the key. Not that you lose 5 pounds this week, the being consistent with your exercise, being consistent with your eating habits. Over time, it's going to win. Stop looking for the quick wins or the the quick wins. Really, stop looking for
Yeah.
that. And think
The
long
instant
term.
gratification.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
You don't
exactly what
want
it
that.
is. You don't want the instant gratification. You want to look forward, and consistency over time is going to win. And for me, like I said, Excel was kind of a thing that I was having trouble with. And so I had to just sit down with my husband and be like, okay, how do I do this? He actually works in Excel all day long. So I had to sit there and be like, okay, how I know there's a way to sort this spreadsheet that's in front of me. There's a way that you can change things around and make it make sense. And so just learning something new every single day, whether that was Excel, whether that was calling someone on the phone, whether that was getting over. I mean, I was someone who would rather not call to order pizza. I'd rather do it online so I don't have to talk to anyone. So
Right.
getting over fears of even just making a phone call was huge. But just consistency over time is going to lead to results.
Yeah. I can relate to that too. Um, it's really a hard struggle to keep showing up over and over and over again when you don't see the results in and out every day. And so trying to have that mindset of, okay, I know the only way I'm going to fail is if I quit. If I just quit doing it, that's when I fail. But if I just show up and put in the reps and do it over and over and over again, I will get to that end goal that I want to achieve.
Yeah. And I think for me, I kind of got to the 1 year mark and I was like, oh, I'm not where I want to be. I wanted to already own properties, and I had all these lofty goals. But 1 year in, I had set that goal for 1 year and it still wasn't coming to fruition. But at that point, you have to make another decision. What am I going to do? Am I going to quit and lose all this progress that I worked towards over the past year? Am I just going to quit now? No. You can have a little discouragement, but then you pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you keep going. The consistency is so key.
Right. I think it's awesome because knowing where you started in this journey in real estate and then being able to see you on other calls that we get on frequently, it's like other professionals recognize what you're bringing to the table already. And that has to feel good. You know,
It did. I mean, with you, when you were on that call, Connor, I literally was done with that call and I high-fived my husband and I wanted to run around the house screaming because I was like, I was so nervous. I had never been on this call before. I didn't know how this call was run and no one was volunteering. So I was like, well, I got like three or four that we can go through here. Three or four
yeah,
examples. And I was like, well, where do we start? And afterwards, like I said, I had to high five. I wanted to high five myself because
yeah,
I was just high on the fact that, hey, I did this thing that I used to be horrible at. And I felt like I shined in that particular meeting. So I appreciate you bringing that up. That makes me feel good.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy because it's hard to remember that you need to take those little wins and put them on your little pegboard. Like, hey, I did that and I made it happen, and it was a good accomplishment for me because you haven't quite reach to that goal of what we all want to reach here in that year span, that year goal you haven't reached yet, but like there are so many other little wins that you can account for going through this process. So it's
Yeah.
definitely hard to try to recognize those and say, you know, I am doing it. And I am being successful.
Yeah. I can remember the first time again, I'm going back to making a phone call. For some reason, our age group, we don't like actually talking on the phone. We prefer to text someone or email them.
Correct.
But actually making that phone call. And then for me, even prior to doing real estate, I was a stay-at-home mom, like I said, but I also ran a licensed home daycare for 10 years. And in that, I rarely spoke to other adults. I mostly spoke to children. And so I actually had a little bit of social anxiety. So when I would go out in public, it was hard for me to even just smile or say hi to someone. And so I had to overcome the hurdle of, okay, I'm going to go and meet with this potential business partner or this potential real estate broker. I'm going to go meet and have coffee with these people. And I had to really get over feeling insignificant and um, really just getting over social awkwardness. Because I had been stay-at-home mom and like I said, my only interactions with children, not other adults really. So I really had to kind of hone in and kind of really get over some social anxiety and just some social situations I had to jump over as well.
Yeah, I think that's been a struggle for me and probably a lot of other people. And, you know, I don't even know if it's only the fact of you're trying to get over the fact that you want to socialize with another person and it's awkwardness enough, but almost a little bit of the imposter syndrome
Yeah,
of like, you know, that I am new to this space and how do I present myself and act in a manner that doesn't make me seem unprofessional or like I'm not going to be taken serious. And so that's like another hurdle that's it's kind of hard to get over.
I agree. I agree.
Is there anything that you do to try to push yourself forward and say, you know, I am a real estate professional?
I don't know that I look in the mirror and say I'm a real estate professional, but I think it just, like I said, over time, more meetings, more calls, just more experience gives you more less of the imposter syndrome because so it's just little wins over time like we've been talking about is just slowly building that confidence and then each time you're like okay that wasn't so bad, I can do that again, I can meet with someone else, that wasn't so bad. But I'll admit too, even today, I didn't want to call a broker to set up a tour. Just for some reason, I was having this anxious feeling and I didn't want to set up a tour. Even though I had talked to this person several times and we were whatever, I still like didn't want to pick up the phone, but I have to get over that. Once you get past that fear, things are so much easier. Another a quote that I remember hearing was fear means that you're getting close to your goal. So like when you feel that fear coming up, like just past that fear is where you're going to see some wins. You just got to get past that fear. Uh, Again, I would high five my husband every time that I would get past something because I'm in an office and he works from home too. So he has his computer over here and mine's over here. And I'll literally just tap him on the shoulder and be like, hey, high five. I did this thing that I was terrified to do. So it's been
Yeah.
kind of fun.
Yeah. I don't remember where I saw it or where I heard it, but it was like a visual representation of fear is like looking at a big pool and not wanting to jump into it, but then realizing when you take that step, it's only like 2 inches deep.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
you can walk through it easily. You just have to take that initial step.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the exact quote. I'm sorry I didn't have it on hand, but it was just fear is it's the idea that you're getting closer to that goal. It's screaming at you, but once you get past that fear, uh, that's where the wins happen.
Yeah,
And I
it's
actually have a
never as bad as what you ever think it is. Every time. It's funny.
yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so hard. Why did I make this a huge stronghold when it really wasn't that hard to do? I just had to get past that fear. My pastor actually says, "Who would you be if fear didn't rule your life?" We need to be people who live without fear. Now, there's obvious fears like you don't want to get run over by a truck or a bus or things like that, but who would you be if you didn't let fear rule your life? How far could you go? What could you actually do if fear wasn't the factor? And if you can just get past that mindset of lack and the ability and your own ability, if you can get past that, that's what fear is really. If you can get past that fear, what can you accomplish in your life? And that can go in any area of your life, like
Right.
any sort of business, any sort of job. Really, it can really apply in a lot of places.
Yeah, we Naomi and I were talking about something very similar the other day in the car, just driving, and it was, you know, how many people out there are letting that fear keep them from doing that thing?
Yeah,
So, and it's like I compare myself, there's 10 of us standing around in a room, and we're all wanting to accomplish the same thing, and we're all scared, but I'm the only one that takes a step forward to accomplish what I want to try to do. Well, I'm already beating out the 9 people that are too scared to go do it,
yeah, that's so
you
true.
know? And
That's
say there's 100 of us, and that means 10 out of are making it and 9 aren't. Like we're already putting ourselves that much farther forward than people that are saying too scared and not taking the faith to step forward. Um, which is kind of motivational for me. What I'm trying to continue to grow is like, well, no, I'm already doing better than 90% of the people that are out there because I'm taking the initiative to do it. And so that's pretty empowering for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just when you hit that wall of fear, making sure that you go over that hurdle, keep moving forward.
Right. So thinking about what success means to you today, like how do you define success and how do you know that you are being successful in what you're trying to accomplish?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, it could be professionally. I'm a mom of four, so also applies to my being a mother. Just being present in the present moment and not allowing distractions to come in. So we all love social media for its ability to have a broad reach, but it can also be something that ties you down. Just making sure that you're present in the moment and not checking out, not avoiding the thing that you're fearful to do. Have you ever done it? You ever said, I'm going to do this thing, but first I'm going to check my social media, and then I'm going to check my email, and then I'm going to, oh, I forgot to do that one thing. And you just keep pushing it off because you're
Yeah.
not focused on that present thing that you're actually supposed to be doing, even though there's a little things that, yeah, maybe you moved your business forward a tiny bit because you respond to that email, but really what you're supposed to focus on is that thing uh, that you've been procrastinating, and so being present in that present moment, whether that be with your kids, not zoning out in the social media, whether that be with your job, making sure you're being focused. I feel like social media can be a big hurdle for people. So just that's one example of a way that you can be present. Um, I
I
guess,
like that.
yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, to be fulfilling your life in the sense of like you're actually in the moment of your life and living it out instead of looking out the window essentially and doing nothing.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great success baseline to start off of.
Yeah. So being and success, gosh, what does success mean? For everyone, it can be different. It doesn't have to be just your career. It doesn't have to be, to me, I feel like I am successful if I am doing everything that I can for my children, to put in the values and standards for my children. And I feel like I'm successful when I'm actually doing the work that I need to be doing and not doing it halfway, doing it with everything that you can, everything that you have. putting forth the effort, not, sorry to say, half-assed. If you're putting in all your effort in all these different areas, that's success to me. And there's never really a starting point and a stopping point. And success keeps there's more points. You get to one level and then you keep going to the next. Okay. For example, for health and fitness, there was at one point I was 50 pounds heavier than now. I can remember incrementally, okay, so I met this goal. Well, I lost 20 pounds. Now I can raise the bar. Okay, can I lose 30? Let's raise the bar. What can you do next? Success, there's never actually an end to success. There's levels and you can move on to the next one.
I love that. So really, to be successful is to continue growing and
Absolutely.
continue pushing yourself.
Yes, I am huge on personal growth. So since the age of 18, my husband and I actually have been huge on self-help books and business mindset growth books, really over the past 20 years. You don't know what you don't know is one of my
Right.
favorite statements, because there's even just a year ago, I didn't know what I could have access to in real estate. So you don't know what you don't know. I had no idea anything like owning apartment complexes existed. I thought it was for the uber rich, but someone like me can actually own an apartment complex. That's crazy to me, but you don't know what you don't know. So just constantly chasing new levels of even education, not necessarily in school, but you can get, through books, through podcasts, through we have so much access to everything online, the digital age. There's so much that we can learn. And just when you are in a state of not learning anymore, I think that's where you start to fail. You should always be constantly learning throughout your whole life.
Yeah, that's powerful. Now, are there any books that you would suggest to any of the viewers today? Like your go-to must read, you got to check these books out.
All right, so there's so many, but there's one that I always mention. Um, I am huge on the power of your spoken word. All right. So the words that you speak, not only in your mind, but also out of your lips, are super important. And so one book that I read literally 20 years ago was a book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And it was just
Okay.
rewiring your brain to think a certain way. And then those actions will come along next. And if you can control between your two ears, and control your mouth, you can really control a lot of the things that happen in your life. I'm not saying there's things that will come along that'll things happen, life happens. But if you can control the words out of your mouth and what happens between your two ears, your life can be hugely different. It is by Shad Helmstetter, if anyone is looking that
That's
up. But one thing in that book I remember reading, and this was before I had lost 50 pounds. It wasn't even a weight loss book. This was a mindset book. But one was, people typically get stuck in, this is how it's always going to be. This is how my body's always going to look. This is how my life is always going to be. And they replay those thoughts in their head. But if you can change those thoughts and then begin to speak words out of your mouth, no, for example, let's just say, um, I have no energy and oh, I'm so tired. Just saying, oh, I'm so tired can actually rewire your brain to think you're even more tired than you actually are. So being careful with the words that you speak and saying, okay, well, I'm energized. Not saying that, okay, you're going to completely disregard how you actually feel, but just saying the words, I am energized, I am uplifted, I am excited about life. Saying those words actually rewires your brain. And I'm huge about neuroscience and learning what actually happens between your two ears and how you can literally change the neuropaths in your brain by the words that you speak. So that's one book I would recommend. Another one is Magic of Thinking Big. That's a good book. I literally have like dozens, as you can see behind me on my shelf.
Oh, yeah. You got a pretty good library going on back there.
So, but those are the two that come to mind right now.
That's awesome. So, when it comes to your journey and your mindset growth, were there people in your life that you were around that you were doing the same thing with, and then when you started growing and you see them saying the same things that were used to be, like, does it seem extremely obvious to you now? It's like, wow, I was you and I was there, and that you're just completely wrong now. Like, do you see that difference?
I do. I think a lot of times with the people that were, there's the path kind of, we take different paths, and I really feel like a lot of the people that we had in different paths were fear, or you want to achieve something that they don't think is actually achievable. And so they want to kind of bring you down, get your head out of the clouds. You can't actually do that because they are not feeling comfortable with your level of commitment. And
Mm,
that's where a lot of times these relationships, maybe you'll have to part ways, or maybe not part ways, maybe just not hang out as much, or um,
right.
maybe not, uh, you won't have the same kind of
Well,
conversations,
I,
you
I
know?
think what always comes to my mind is like, okay, well, you think I can't do this, but I'm going to prove you wrong, and sometimes it almost motivates me a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I don't know that I'm necessarily that way, but I think there are times that I will be like, well, you're going to tell me no, I'm going to do it anyway. I know my kids are
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. Was there anything when it came from your athletic college days that you've continued on throughout your life that you think have benefited you? Any like daily habits or anything like that?
Um, I have to say, so my I come from a family of 9 children. So I have 8 siblings, and we grew up on a farm in the middle of Kansas. And growing up on the farm, you can either go do your chores, the chores that need to be done, or the bank will foreclose on your home. Like the stakes are high.
Right.
And so I think for me, having the background of being a farm kid has really helped me in my work ethic. And that's not necessarily in my career, but that's in any area really. So when I was in school, I always worked hard to get good grades. When I was doing any kind of sport, that was like, okay, that's my sport, that's my scholarship money to get on to the next level to play a college athlete. So just the work ethic, I think, was instilled in me in a very young age. And then it continued through every sport that I did. I did basketball, volleyball, track, cross country, you name it. I did it. Um,
Wow. That's
baseball as a
awesome.
kid. So when I went into college, I did cross country, track, and indoor track. Track was kind of my thing. Running is my thing. And then later on, as I actually already had 2 kids in 2016, I ran a half marathon. So I think just the work ethic is the thing. If you can just continue to go, and there's just, like I keep saying, it's consistency over time. And if you can just continually do the thing, that thing's going to come into fruition. So, I hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Well, I think we're probably about to wrap up here in a minute. Um, if there's any listeners on here that want to connect with you, how can they find you?
Sure. So you can find me. I will actually send you information on Instagram. A lot of my Instagram is my fitness page, and then you can finally follow me on Facebook as well. I am, and LinkedIn is probably the best place for professionals who are looking to move forward, especially in real estate space. I will send you links, Connor, so that you can put it below your podcast or whatever, of my
Okay.
LinkedIn handle and my Facebook and my Instagram.
Yeah, sounds great.
All
Well,
right.
thank you so much for getting on today, and we'll definitely talk soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Connor.